We're going to look at two special cases of the queue node action that's taken when the queue node is when the queue is full. So far in class, we've only talked about infinite capacity queues. So here's one, and infinite capacity simply means there is plenty of room in the queue, no limits. Okay, but often you don't have infinite capacity in your warehouse, and when you reach the limit of the queue, the entity is unable to join it and has to either go somewhere else or wait until the queue frees up. So if we take this first example, which is this group of nodes that I've highlighted in red here, it's a simple manufacturing process where we have arrivals. They're processed by a server here, but instead of an infinite capacity queue, we're going to double click this, and the queue capacity, say, is 10 items. Okay, so when we have 10 items in the queue and another arrives, there's no more room. So the item or entity has to go somewhere else. So that's where this kind of full action processing comes in. So when an entity is routed elsewhere, that's known as balking. Okay, so the full action instead of none, which is only applicable if the queue capacity is limited or unlimited. We click on balk and type in an alternate node where the entity is supposed to go. So in this case, we're going to send it to a subcontracting node where it takes an extra 24 hours for the subcontractor to process the parts and bring it back to the warehouse. So in the balk field, we just type in the name of the node where the entity is supposed to go. So this goon node is called subcon, so we'll use that for the balk node. Click OK, and now we've added balking to this queue. Okay, so again, remember, balking is the case where we have finite capacity queues and we need to send the queue or the item elsewhere. Okay. The other case for finite capacity queues is called blocking. And this is only activated in the case where you have two queue servers in series. So I've showed this in this lower example. It's now highlighted in red. And this second queue, we're going to assume that it has a finite capacity. So we'll also make that limit of 10. But instead of balking, we're not going to send the arriving entity elsewhere. We're going to say that it blocks the preceding service activity. So we click block and OK, and you'll see two lines appear in front of the queue. Okay, so that means this queue is blocking this server. So the entity, even though it's finished service, it can't join the queue yet. So it has to wait in the service activity and keep the server occupied. The server can't work on anything else until space frees up in the queue. This is called blocking. So it's said that this queue blocks the previous service activity. Okay, and now this is only true when you have a queue server followed by another queue server. If this is some other kind of activity and not a service activity, then you can't have blocking. Okay, it only applies to service activities. So again, when the queue is full, it will block the previous server. This server will wait until the queue empties out before the server can be freed up and pull the next item out of its queue. Okay, so that's called blocking. So we've covered these two special cases of the queue node when we have finite capacity. One's called balking, where you send the arriving entity somewhere else. And the other is called blocking, where the arriving entity simply waits in the service activity, does not release the server, so the server can't work on anything else. He's blocked until space frees up in the queue.